Hello and welcome to KONTi's weekly seminar. I'm Miranda Kloop and I'm very excited to be able to share with you guys the opportunity to really learn about what your path to design could really look like. If you have any questions, just keep it till the very end or be able to present them in the chat box a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. So, here at KONTi, it's a company made up of architects and engineers, and we specifically focus on sustainable and green designs. We work on many different types of projects, from residential to commercial, and while the majority of our projects do revolve around the use of shipping containers, ultimately all of our designs are to create more affordable and resilient communities everywhere. At KONTi, we offer three base model designs. The M1, which is over here on the left, it consists of a 40-foot by 8-foot container. It has 1 to 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen living room space. The M2, which is found here in the middle, it offers a bit more space through the use of an additional container, in which can expand the bedrooms to fit more of a typical dimension and actually can offer an additional bathroom. The M3, which is our final base unit that we offer, which is over here on the right, it offers the most flexibility in space, especially with the use of an additional bedroom or office space. So while we do provide these kind of base design options, we do also a lot of custom design. You can see one of our more highly rated projects up here in the top right hand corner. So while we do offer these, we also do different types of designs as well. So a factor that can help when begin designing is obviously the site. So here at KONTi, we don't necessarily help you find a site per se, but we can give you tips to help you know what you're looking for. So one of the first big requirements is space. The site needs to be a minimum of 60 feet to not have to cut up any of the containers in regards to mandatory setbacks on site. So this doesn't mean that the site has to be 60 foot at all parameters. However, it does need to have a space where we can be able to work with it. And being that mandatory setbacks are around 10 to 15 feet, this just kind of helps us be able to create the best project for you. But really, this is where the fun starts to begin. So the first tip is about the topography of the site. So here at KONTi, we do love a good challenge and working with any type of incline on sites. While sometimes having an intense slope can be super cool and lead to some pretty cool designs, sites that tend to be a bit more flat or have a little less incline does kind of avoid a lot of those major foundation construction costs. So this isn't to say that here at KONTi we can't work with any type of incline or any type of topography found on the site. It just more has to do with the realm of what budget type you're looking at. So if you're looking to be a little bit more affordable or like to cut down on some costs, then looking for a site with a little less incline or considerably less flat would help you. So the next tip is about the composition of the soil. So sites differ even more than just topography and space, but also by what type of soil we're working with on the site. So different types of soil are easier to design with due to their integrity, while others can make it a bit more difficult. So you can kind of check on this Soil Web app. It helps you give it like a general idea of what composition can offer. So this doesn't mean obviously that we wouldn't need to do a professional soil study because that's necessary for construction, but this does give you kind of the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what you could be looking for, especially in regards to just cost. So obviously a lot of our clients that have looked for a property to be on the sand, they realize that it can also just be a little bit harder in terms of budgeting, in terms of pricing. So being able to move a little bit more towards like rock or clay or some type of built material can actually bring a lot of the costs down. So again, this isn't to say that we don't work with different types of composition of soil, but it's just to kind of get you a little bit more informed. The next tip is my personal favorite because it involves Mother Earth and the natural components found on the site. So whether there are present structures, plant life, bodies of water, at KONTi we focus on preservation and how we can actually incorporate a lot of these natural components into our design. So we actually encourage you to not demo or take down any existing trees until we can see how to integrate them into your future design. The next tip is regarding plumbing and sanitation. So if there's any sewage on the site, we do have to connect to that by law. Otherwise, we have to create our own sanitation system. So what we do here at KONTi is we actually do the biogarden. So it's super sustainable and it's off grid as well. Again, this isn't a component that's always mandatory. However, it can be, I guess, in again regards to the sanitation system. But what it is it takes water that's runoff as well as found in the bathroom, the shower, the sinks. And what it does is it takes the water through plumbing, creating a super viable plot of land. And in that land, you can kind of put different plants and different crops, and then those plants will actually suck up a lot of those nutrients found from the water, as well as being able to clean a lot of it. And then it will run through a final filtration system and then back into the house. So again, if you're looking to kind of create or keep a certain specific type of budget, then making sure that your site already has a septic system can kind of help you cut down on this cost, because this type of infrastructure does kind of start at around $20,000. So the last tip we offer regarding site is about electricity. So if you plan on connecting to Luma, which is the only power company found in Puerto Rico, the new construction price is around $8,000 to $10,000 with infrastructure. But again, what we also offer here at KONTi is solar panels. So it's kind of like another process where we were working with off-grid energy and being able to, again, stay away from a lot of those like bigger grids and provide opportunity to be more environmental and more green. So this is kind of more of like an upfront cost, but over time and over the long run, it really will like save you a lot of pain and money and time and everything like that. So after all of that information, it would be what is ideally your next step, which is the pre-design viability study. So this is pretty much where you have a one-on-one consult with a member of our team, and we get to be able to learn a little bit more about you, what you're specifically looking for, as well as where you're at in the process. So this kind of ranges from all different types of clients and at different stages of the process that they're at. Some don't have a site yet and just want to be more informed, while some have a site, but they're not super sure what they're looking to develop. Where we've had some be able to come in and literally give us a design right off the bat. So what this is after we're able to have that conversation, you will be sent an invoice and payment options of the $600 fee. And that way we can kind of secure opportunity to be able to go to the site. And a lot of our clients do look to join us on the site. So with that, we make sure that scheduling works out, that both parties are able to attend. If not, then we just have one of our head designer or our founder, Carla, be able to go to the site and do a lot of the different studies there. So what we do is a visual analysis, an environmental analysis, as well as a zoning analysis. So a lot of those components that I was talking about earlier in regards to topography, terrain, composition of soil, a lot of those like natural components, we start to dissect and be able to understand better about what your site can offer, not only you, but also to the project as a whole. And then from there, we'll create 3 different design options based off of what we discovered and what we had in that conversation with you. And those 3 different options are kind of like different scales. So it's a small, medium, and large. Typically, the smaller option will resemble one of our base model units that is able to fit a lot of the needs or requirements that you stated to us based in that one-on-one consult. So, for example, if you're looking for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, then our small option will most likely resemble our Model 1, where then our medium and larger options will kind of be based off of observations or components that you may have mentioned in the consult that you'd be looking to have integrated into the project, whether that be like a roof deck or a pool or any of those kind of things. And then once we are able to actually provide you and give you those 3 different design options, they will also have their own budgets as well as timelines. And then from there, you just kind of let us know where you're at in the process, or like what components you like the most and those kind of things. And we just kind of are able to move along. So then after the pre-design viability study, we would begin the schematic design phase, which is where a lot of the surveying and soil studies of the site will occur. And the overall form of the design starts to take shape. So the program will be set with the desired square footage and location within the design. Where we get this option, or where we get this like ability to be able to build your project, is based off of that conversation from the pre-design viability study. So for example, if you really liked the form and the shape of the larger option that we offered you, but you can really only afford the medium option, then we make sure that in the schematic design phase, we're able to kind of leverage a lot of the components that you were looking to have, while still being able to stay within budget. So the next phase is design development, which focuses on the details found mainly in the kitchen and bathrooms, what type of fixtures you want, or if you want tiling, what type of tiling. A lot of this is just kind of starting to add a lot more of your own personal interior character to your design. And we get a lot of questions about like if we have specific materials that we use on the interior. We don't. Every project here at KONTi has and always probably will be different from every other project we've done. And that mainly has to do because we look to make sure to leverage a lot of what our clients want and needs. And then a lot of the materials that we use are actually like found resources or reused resources that we can kind of better integrate into our projects. So in regards to material or cabinetry, or again, like even the fixtures themselves, they can be completely custom to you and to like what you're looking for. So after that stage, we go into the construction documents phase. This focuses on the intricacies of the structural, electrical, and plumbing aspects to each design, as well as the composition of the biogarden and or solar panels possibly found in each project. So this is just us being able to kind of really secure the design and making sure it all works out, and like kind of moving over any bumps or issues we might see. And the next phase is the permit phase, which is where we'll be securing all the documentation for the final checklist and forms to be able to submit to OGPE. So unfortunately, we can't necessarily control the timeline of the projects, but the checklist will be provided to you so you can download all the documentation for your records. But again, if you remember from the pre-design viability study, I did mention that each design option would have kind of a designated timeline. So from that zoning analysis that we do, we start to understand what permits could be necessary for every project. And how it works in Puerto Rico typically is that permits can take about 6 to 8 months to be processed. And so in that time, what we do is we make sure that we're actually working on like the prefabrication of your models. So the timelines for like residential and like small residential or like small commercial projects are typically around a year from that initial study to like giving you the keys and here you go, you can move in. So then the final estimate phase is where we are sending the construction documents to the subcontractors so we can receive quotes to total the final estimate. We do work on a cost plus basis, which pretty much means that we will be using what we have found in the current day economy kind of thing on like prices and things like that. And that's mainly because like at KONTi, we prioritize keeping the whole process transparent and flexible because we do understand it is a big commitment. So being able to provide you the actual like baseline instead of just like a generalization is super important to us. And that's like very much because we want the project just as much as you. So how it kind of works is that the payment process will work in phases. And as I mentioned a little bit before with the timeline, we are a prefab company. So as we're working on your unit in Vega Baja, you'll be working with our business manager and he'll be able to kind of take you through the steps where it's different phases where they'll be listed all the components that are specifically being worked on in that phase, and for whatever price that they're listed at. And majority of the time, if the the end price actually falls in under budget, any money that you have paid initially for that phase will immediately move into the next phase. Again, this is just because we want you to be paying for exactly what you're getting and not just that base price. But we do also really prioritize a lot of our units and just this greener design option as a whole. So then finally, after we've gotten the go ahead, after the permits have been processed and we've had our structural engineer go on site and construct all the foundation, and we've worked through all of those different phases and paying for all those components to your actual structure, then it's more about just being able to ship that unit to your site itself. And then once it's on the site, it's a lot of like this interior finalization with the decking and just being able to add a lot of the interior character to your design. So we do work on a turnkey process, which ultimately means that any choices that you make in desire of decoration and those kind of things will be ultimately your choice, as well as like ultimately affect the final cost. We have had some clients that haven't seen the project until the very end. So they kind of gave us the go ahead and the freedom to be able to create the space based off of what they told us about. And we've also had some clients that have wanted to be able to take this completely into their own hands and design the space that they want fully. So if you feel like you're ready to go, I will be sending a follow-up email to everyone that kind of attended this session, being able to recap all the information you've learned, as well as it will set up a link to set up that one-on-one consult with a member of our team where we can begin to hear from you, as well as like just see if you're ready to begin your pre-design viability study. Also, here are some links to our social media platforms. We do post a lot more on Instagram, and that kind of gives you a little bit more insight into current projects that we're working on, as well as a lot more understanding of what our interiors can look like or our general shapes and forms. And then that's also kind of copied over into Facebook as well. Here at KONTi, I do want to quickly mention that we realize sometimes shipping containers aren't always the answer. So we also provide sustainable interiors focusing on adaptive reuse. So this typically means that if you have a project and it actually already has an existing structure and you're looking more for like a renovation type component, then this is like what we can offer. So instead of just like tearing everything down or like reworking it, we try to find our best ways to actually like adapt the existing structure and reuse a lot of those materials found. But both of these processes do work the same in regards to the pre-design viability study and providing those different design options. This would just obviously be based off an existing structure. Also, we do offer sustainable steel construction. So the steel that we use is American steel, which is 92% made up of recycled material. So this is kind of in terms of if you're looking for a project that may have just like different dimensions or like different desired spatial components that you're looking for that the shipping container might not be able to offer you. So if you're looking for more glass or double height spaces or just kind of like not a super matched dimension shape, this is what we can offer that as well. And to finish, we do also have an existing model that a lot of our clients have asked to be able to stay in, which is our Model 1. It does have the solar panels as well as the bio garden. It's also just super nice to be able to understand what it's like to live in a shipping container. It's in Ciales in Puerto Rico, so this is always up for option as being able to kind of experience the space. I also do get a lot of questions based off of like how much is pricing and those kind of things like as a whole. And what I would like to say is like based off of our Model 1, which is this is what our project is, we would typically say that with infrastructure, a completely virgin lot, water, plumbing, electricity, everything on the ins and outs completely outfitted, we'd say the price is around $150,000. Obviously, every site is different and every project is different. That's why we really do reinforce and kind of push our clients to take part in that pre-design viability study, because then not only do you get a better idea of like what your project can be, but also we get to know you and just be able to kind of explain and really work together to be able to provide the best project for you. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. And I hope you were able to learn a lot about what we do here at KONTi. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.